Ever feel like you're drowning in information? Headlines and hot takes flying at you from every direction.
It's tough to figure out what's actually important, right? What's worth our time and attention.
That's exactly why we do these deep dives. Cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of the matter.
So today, we're tackling a pretty wild story out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, the federal case against Eugene Henley Jr., better known as Big U.
This one is seriously grabbing headlines right now. I mean, we're talking about someone who is known for being involved in the music scene, even championed anti-gang work.
And now he's facing some incredibly serious charges. RICO charges, to be specific.
Which, let's be honest, you don't see every day. Especially not with someone like Big U.
Yeah,
It really makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes, right? What led to this?
exactly. And that's our mission today for anyone listening. We want to really understand these allegations against Big U. Like, what are they actually accusing him of?
And what does it all mean? Like, what are the key takeaways here as this story continues to develop?
So let's break it down. First things first, what exactly are these RICO charges all about?
Okay, so RICO stands for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act.
Right, I've heard of that, but it sounds pretty intense.
Oh, it is. Basically, it's a way to go after organized crime, like targeting the whole structure of a criminal enterprise, not just individual acts.
So in this case, they're saying Big U was heading up some kind of organized operation?
Exactly. The indictment uses the term Big U enterprise, and they describe it as mafia-like.
Mafia-like, wow. So what were they allegedly doing? What kind of criminal activities are we talking about?
Well, they're alleging a whole range of things. Racketeering and extortion are the big ones.
Meaning?
Basically, they're claiming that Henley used his ties to the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips to intimidate businesses and individuals, for his own benefit.
So leveraging that gang affiliation for essentially shakedowns and intimidation tactics. Classic organized crime stuff.
Right, and the accusations go even deeper than that. One of the most disturbing allegations is that he was involved in a murder back in 2021.
Wait, murder? This just took a dark turn.
Yeah, it did. The victim was an aspiring rapper, referred to as RW in the documents. Apparently, he released a diss track that Henley didn't appreciate.
A diss track, like a song.
Yeah, and allegedly, Henley and his associates traveled to Las Vegas, confronted this rapper, and ended up killing him.
That's just brutal.
It is. And to make matters worse, they're saying they disposed of the body in the desert. This just shows how serious these accusations are.
So it's not just financial crimes. They're alleging violence and intimidation as well.
Right. And on top of all that, there are also accusations of financial wrongdoing. Specifically, that Henley was defrauding donors through his charity, Developing Options.
Developing Options, wasn't that supposed to be like a positive thing?
It was. They presented it as an organization dedicated to community outreach, trying to guide young people away from gangs.
The irony here is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is. The prosecutors are alleging that Henley used a big chunk of those donations for his own personal benefit.
So an organization meant to combat the very issues he's now accused of being involved in was allegedly being used to line his own pockets. I don't even know what to say.
It's pretty shocking. And to add to that, he's also facing accusations of fraudulently applying for a COVID-19 relief loan for his music promotion company, Unique Music.
So we've got alleged violence, extortion, and now fraud on multiple levels. This is a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just Henley who got caught up in all of this. There were two other key figures arrested alongside him, Sylvester Robinson, known as Vega, and Mark Martin, or Bear Claw.
I remember hearing their names mentioned in the news. What were their roles in this whole thing?
That's something the prosecution will likely focus on heavily. They'll try to establish the roles each of them played in this alleged Big U enterprise.
And the whole operation that led to these arrests had a pretty impactful name, too.
Yeah, they called it Operation Drawdown.
Which sounds like they were taking this pretty seriously.
They were. It wasn't just those three either. They arrested 10 more people as part of the operation.
10 more? For what?
A bunch of charges, actually.
Yeah.
Drug trafficking, firearms offenses, things like that. So this was a big coordinated effort. Clearly, they were looking at a wider network.
And what about Henley and Mejia? Weren't they on the run for a while?
Yeah, initially, there were reports that they were being sought by the authorities. But in a recent development, both Henley and Brian Mejia turned themselves in.
So they're in custody now.
They are. And that means the investigation can move forward more directly. It's a big step in the legal process.
It's just It's hard to wrap my head around this whole thing. Like, the Big U I thought I knew from the music scene, the guy involved in Hip Hop Uncovered, a show that explored the connection between music and the streets. It's hard to reconcile that with the image of someone leading a criminal enterprise.
Yeah, it's a real head scratcher. He had this public persona of someone who was against gang violence, but now he's accused of using those connections for his own gain.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, how could he maintain that kind of double life for so long?
And did anyone suspect anything? Like within his own circle or in the community?
That's a good question. Maybe his public image, his involvement in music and anti-gang work helped deflect scrutiny. Maybe it built a level of trust that he could then exploit.
So reputation can be a powerful tool, even a weapon, in a way.
Absolutely. And this case really drives that point home.
So looking ahead, what happens now? What are the potential consequences if Henley is convicted?
Well, we're talking about some seriously heavy penalties here. If they can prove all of these charges against him, especially the RK violations, he could be looking at life in federal prison.
Life. That's huge.
It is. And his co-defendants, if they're found guilty, could face up to 20 years. These are not slap-on-the-wrist consequences.
This whole situation feels like it's about more than just one man and his alleged crimes, though, doesn't it?
Definitely. It really highlights the ongoing struggle against gang violence in Los Angeles, for one thing. And on a broader level, it raises some really unsettling questions about the nature of trust and deception. How is it that someone can seemingly lead these two completely separate lives, one public and one hidden? What does that say about our ability to judge character, to know who we can trust?
It's a lot to think about. So to sum it up for everyone listening, we've got this really jarring contrast. Big U, the music industry figure, the anti-gang advocate, now facing accusations of running a mafia-like criminal enterprise.
It's a huge discrepancy. And it makes you wonder, was that public persona all an act? A deliberate strategy to cover up his alleged criminal activities? Or is this more about the complex realities of power and influence, how those things can be used and abused?
The story's still unfolding, and there are clearly a lot of layers to peel back. But it definitely forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about the people we see in the public eye and about the challenges of fighting organized crime within our communities.
It's a reminder that things aren't always what they seem. That carefully crafted image someone projects might be hiding a very different reality. It makes you wonder, how many other big U situations are out there waiting to be uncovered?
That's a chilling thought, and one that I think we all need to consider as we navigate this world of information overload and carefully curated public personas.
It definitely makes you think twice about who you trust and what you believe, doesn't it?
It does, and I think that's a good place to leave it for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.
In the meantime, keep those critical thinking skills sharp. You never know when you'll need them.
We'll see you next time.
Take